Welcome to Life in the Music Business, a master class with Professor Pooch and your host, BACEFACE.
Hey, how's it going, guys? As you can see, we are Life in the Music Business, and we are back for another episode. Joined with us today is the amazing, as always, Professor Pooch.
Oh, geez. Yeah, folks, a lot of times, we talk a lot before we even remember we're doing a show because this is life in the music business. So we're letting you in on our background talk and whatever else is, it's life.
Yeah, we always there's so many interesting things going on in both of our lives at all times. So
it's insane. But, and I hope the people out there, if they want to do different things that we're doing, fine, live it, I'm hopefully making it a little easier for you. But by the way, you were talking about, we were talking about the speakers and hearing and stuff. And by the way, that backdrop you see of the guitars and stuff, folks, that's actually because my studio monitors are actually go there so they don't bounce off the walls because they're pretty powerful speakers.
But you're lucky actually because your room has like a little slant on the ceiling. That's how my old studio used to be, which was in my former bedroom, and I used that for so long. But this room that I'm currently in right now, the issue I ran into is that it's square and there's a lot of parallel walls. So for the people that are watching this on YouTube, you could see my whole room, and you can even probably go back and see the progression of how I had everything set up. And we just finished it up now, and believe me, it sounds incredible in here. If I were to clap, you don't hear nothing.
Oh, I got you. It's just funny. See, I cannot create in a perfectly rectangular or square room. I've always had rooms, this side bends, at the other end, that bends, it's down the hall. I need bends. I need not perfectly everything straight. I don't know why. Maybe it's just, superstition.
It's a lot easier to hear things, believe me. Even those two walls make a huge difference because it stops everything from bouncing around so much, just like the slightest bit,
Well, which ties into the subject I thought I should discuss. We were going to shoot a show a couple nights ago, and boy, it was my ear killing me.
Wow.
And I finally traced it back. From folks in the wintertime and you have the heat on heavy, make sure there's water in the room, especially if you have electric heaters. Well, boy, was it hurting. And the weird side effect of it was I couldn't take any sound at all. Now, here's a music person that can't even listen to somebody talk, let alone music, okay? And it brings up another topic that comes up a lot, and especially since a friend of mine he created special earplugs and stuff. And this got me all thinking about it. What happened back in the 1970s, I'm a rocker. I was always playing in a rock band or watching a rock band. And we were having speaker problems. Now, that, everybody, that horrible feedback type of sound, that high feedback. And by the way, that's when microphones are facing speakers. You get a loop kind of thing. Sometimes it's cool, but only if you meant it to be. But what happened was the bass speakers weren't working in the cabinet. We're in a club, and the bass speaker wasn't working. We were playing around with it. All of a sudden, my ears were pretty close to it, and somebody hit something, and it worked all of a sudden, but I couldn't hear for like 6 months.
Jesus Lord, they almost blow out your eardrum.
Yeah, I think my one eardrum's a little crazy, but my other eardrum's fine. Get stuff sometimes, but I wanted to bring this up it all ties together to a lot of things, and that is people don't understand all the time what they're doing to their hearing. I don't know if you've noticed it, people, but I bet you if you've been watching the internet or keep track of like Rolling Stone magazine or one of those magazines, a lot of the older musicians can't play anymore because they can't hear anymore.
Yeah, it's a shame actually, because it's one of the things that you can't like replace your hearing. You can't replace the cilia that's in your ear. That once those things are, they stand up, they're standing always. But when it gets so loud that you break the noise pressure of your ears, when they fold and you lose it. You lose your hearing.
Yeah, I just a warning to all musicians. Just be really careful with your hearing. Now, look, it is a fact that we didn't back in the old days. Well, when I was a rocker, really busy as a rocker, I mean, our monitors were speakers and they faced us. I mean, now a lot of people use ear monitors
Yeah.
and stuff, but
Yeah,
that's,
earbud.
I got to get him on. We're going to talk ears and sound with this guy because he knows what he's doing. He's done it for like the top people in the music industry.
Wow, that'd be amazing. And I
I
feel
think, yeah,
everybody would.
Bowie and everybody. I mean, special. They're made to fit your particular ear somehow.
Oh, the custom molded ones, like the in.
Something like that. Me and technical live in two different worlds.
Yeah, but yeah,
Okay,
the AirPods, and I use AirPods all the time, and
yeah,
um,
but aren't you? I'm concerned. Like just be careful of the volume you
yeah,
listen to stuff.
that's the thing. Sometimes with like today, for instance, I was at the gym and I was running, and I just got so into the music. I kept turning it up, and then I realized I was like, "Whoa, I'm at full blast," and that is not good for my hearing, especially making money off of my ears. Being an engineer, it's probably one of the worst things that you could do for yourself is to blast music in your ears. But if
Oh,
you have speakers in your
geez.
house or something like that, it's one thing. But to be sitting there with the things in your ear, especially the ones that have like those little like rubber plugs on them that really push into your ear so you can't hear anything else outside. Those are you better be careful when you use those because they will blow your eardrums out.
God, you just reminded me something that I don't think we've ever covered on this show. Did we cover the loudness wars?
Nope. We never covered the loudness wars. It never came up, but is an underlying thing that I
Oh
think
my God.
is the number one thing that I notice on the game on a daily basis. I mean, a lot of people mix stuff, they try to get it loud, but but a lot of people don't realize that the music that's coming out on the radio has been mastered by a professional mastering engineer that only masters music. They don't do anything else. They don't touch the mix. They bring whatever you did in the mix, all the ingredients that you put together to build the cake. They take that final cake and add the icing.
Yeah, but if it's got to be done right, even by the mastering engineer.
Or
Okay, because a lot of people call themselves mastering engineers. Okay, but you got to be careful. This is what was going on. By the way, what the loudness wars were, everybody tried to make their recording louder than the next, not distorting, but as loud as they could get it. And the way they did this was compressing it, raise the volume, compress it more, raise the volume. Now, there's two problems with this. One, there's no dynamics anymore in this song. If somebody starts out full power and with the band, I always used to say to them, where do you go from there? You're already full power, and it's all one volume. It hurts my ears after a while. But the important reason that you should think about people is that what was happening is people were complaining to like YouTube, uh, Spotify. There was a couple of them that they're listening to stuff, and all of a sudden, bang, from
yeah.
song to song, and the levels were so uneven because all of a sudden you get the loudness wars, and then you listen to folk, you have it at pretty good volume or whatever you listen to, I don't know. But then boom, and what they started doing, Spotify, I think was the first, I'm sure YouTube and stuff, if it's all blasted, all loudness kind of setup, they knock it down. They
Mhm.
limit, it's called a limiter.
Yep.
and they limit it. And the interesting part is, so it won't hurt people's ears when they're going from song to song. So they got it down to this point. Now, the interesting part was the people that actually kept the dynamics in, well, I mean, it would be lower and stuff, but then it might jump up and come down, but it's not overall compressed.
Yeah. It's not the stagnant, it's not the one block for the entire song. There's ebbs and flows to it. And a side note, actually, on top of that, the one thing that's interesting is that every single one of those platforms have now regulated a certain they're going by the LUFS, loudness unit, whatever it is.
Too many acronyms.
Yeah, they go by LUFS.
I'll forget it in 2 minutes. Go ahead.
So basically, all the major records that are coming out, if you were to look at the meters on them, they're hitting so hard, right? And I've tried to, with some of my clients before, I've tried to hit that level, and I did, and I hit it. But as soon as we uploaded it, it was lower than everything else. So it's interesting to see that when, like,
well, then the meters should be accurate.
Oh no, the meters are accurate, but it's the usability. Like when the label releases their song, they're giving it directly to Spotify. If I were to release my song, I'm using a third party aggregator to be able to get to all the Apple Music and Spotify. So it's a little tougher to get the mix through, but you should always be shooting for what sounds good. You shouldn't try to squeeze it and try to push it.
Yeah, because it's artificial. See, what's happening is there's a compressor. Compressor makes the softer things louder and the louder things softer. Okay, a limiter stops things from when it hits there, it stops, but it can change the sound from what you really want.
Exactly.
Another interesting point that a lot of people don't know is if you listen to FM radio, to go through the airwaves, all that stuff is compressed.
And it's interesting, actually. Even the same thing with cell phones or like old school, like telephones. It's a combination of a compression and expanding. So when you're quiet, it cuts all the background noise. When you're talking, it puts it. You know what I mean? After a certain level, it'll try to bring it back down to be able to make sure that when we talk loud, it you know what I mean, doesn't startle anybody.
Right. Yeah, and excuse me. I mean, they used to do it for certain recordings. They wanted a voice to come through the phone, and it's so high pitched. I mean, you're not going to. Have you ever heard a phone that has a bassy voice? I mean, they're high pitched. And I mean, okay. Another interesting phenomenon. But so musicians should protect their ears. I've run into bass players, and they can't hear on one side of their head. Guess why?
Why is that?
It's the side
that they
where the drummer is right next to them hitting those cymbals.
Oh man, that's the worst too. The cymbals are the worst. They will make you go deaf 100%.
Well, picture if you're a bass player and drummer, have to work together. I mean, it's very important. I mean, that's, the basis of a lot of things, but what was happening, I mean, Mike had noticed that I'm not going to get into all kinds of names here, but this guy's been playing, forever as a producer and a musician, all on tour and everything like that. And he noticed when the guy was mixing in his studio that something was off. And he realized, I mean, and it's happened to a lot of people. It's just the side you are on stage next to the bass, next to the drummer. It's just really, so I mean, folks, watch your ears.
Yeah, protect your ears. The loudness war is important because you don't want to compete with everything. There's no competition. So you shouldn't be trying to squeeze and push your, every mix I've ever gotten from people is always pushed so hard. They're trying to do so much and it's literally distorting, but because they're trying to get that level of volume, they think that that's okay to do.
But
And
it's artificial. It makes it artificial sounding. I want to hear an instrument. I want to be blown back naturally by a
yeah,
drum and
I mean,
stuff like
I
that.
love compression, but there's a certain way that I use it that is a lot different than just squeezing everything to death. You know, like
Oh no, 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 no. I agree with you. I can't sing or talk without a compressor on my voice because I have expression. I get loud, I get soft, I get loud, I need that kind of a thing. But I'm not trying to, falsify it up in the world there.
yeah, but luckily, I see the trend like I see the trend changing where all the real music is coming back. So everything is more about being real, and then not being so mechanical.
Actually, it makes sense for a major reason. Everybody in this world nowadays has ADD. I'm sorry, technology, they have very short attention spans. And the way I always like to do music, this is me, okay? It's depending if I'm rocking, let's say it's a rock. I'm going to start very simple, very, light and build and build and volume because I want to keep that person's attention. And I'm going to have different sections. And then the chorus is going to jump out or whatever. But then let's say I started here on the verse and then pre-chorus, chorus. Okay. Then what has to go back to the verse, but I don't go all the way down to where the first verse was. And I build it up further. And then, there's a bridge goes wherever hell it decides to go, if there is a bridge. And of course, you let all hell break loose. You just want to keep adding attention. I learned something. My first mentor was Jimmy Einer, who did unless you listen to all these songs, but he had a lot of major hits out there, like Three Dog Night and stuff like that, where each verse or pre-chorus and after that, you would add another little instrument and then just keep building instrument wise. Sometimes it was a piano chord and I used 3 fingers. And then the next time I used 4 fingers. Now, what he showed it to me on was very interesting. I forgot the name of the song right now. Last century. Okay. I can easily say that now. But it was a horn there. It went da, 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 da. Okay. It was like a soul song. The second verse, there was 2 of them. Da, 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 da. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then 3 and stuff like that. You built like that.
Wow.
I believe in building songs. They should build.
Yeah.
And grab but take you for a little ride and stuff like that, where it keeps your attention because people have no attention span. And remember, you do have to get to them quick. So grab them right away and then take them on a journey.
Yeah, there's many different ways. I use a lot of different layers in my sound. So one sound may sound like my one keyboard synth or whatever may sound like it's one sound, but it's really like 6 or 7 layered in together. So I use that as the simplistic way to be able to build, because that's basically the same thing I do. What you just explained is building throughout the song with different instruments and being able to the arrangement and what chords you choose, being able to really catch people off guard and take them to a new place. And by the end of the song, their mind is blown because they've never had such an experience.
You gave me a trip, a vacation, Yeah, but the thing is now, and I use more chords than a lot of writers do. Okay. I use more than 3 chords. Okay. But the point is, it's still, you want to give them a chord they're not expecting maybe, but the ear still has to be able to follow. Just like if you add an instrument, what I've seen people do is they'll add an instrument, it's so loud it overtakes the voice and it kills the whole thing. You know what I mean? They'll just, there's ways of doing it. You have to understand depth, but that's we went through that.
Mixing is a specific art that takes years and like at least 10 to 15 years to be able to really get good at. You can't, it's one of the hardest things to do when it comes to music and the technicality of music. Anybody can write a song, but not everybody can mix the song, so understand your strengths and don't try to focus on your weakness, because then you're leaving your strengths out to dry instead of.
Yeah, you make your strength stronger and go to somebody else where your weakness is their strength. It's that simple. You know what I mean? It's common sense to me. One of my tricks always was, I might have mentioned it to you, but sometimes even though I'm starting very simple, I still want to create a certain mood. So I used to do things subliminally. Basically, you did not know it was there, but you felt it because it's the frequency, all that stuff. But what I did was I took a pad, like it might have, keys in it and strings and whatever mood I'm trying to make, and you don't know it's there, but you feel it. There's something there. You don't hear it because the bass and drums are kicking or whatever. And then I slowly, as the song goes on, I raise it very slightly. And at the end of the song, it's really, and the funny part is people say, that's interesting you brought that instrument in there. I said, that's been there since the very beginning. It was a different, it's just subliminal at first. And then the idea is to create moods. Moods are the greatest way. I like haunting songs that grab you. And that mini vacation to another dimension stuff I always say. But yeah, I like that haunting sound, and sometimes just layers of keys. Sometimes I'll put more of the reverb on than the actual root source sound. It's just like floating. And then maybe I'll bring the reverb down, but I'm raising the instrument so it stands out straight, or whatever. Yeah, I did, depending on the song, style, the genre, whatever I was working on at that time.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to really make something exciting to hear and listen to. But the root of all of this, I feel the need to say this, is that the song must be good. Okay. It must be great. You know what I mean? Because if it's not on, if you can't play the song on on one instrument sitting here playing it in front of me and move me with what you're saying or what the song is about, then you got to go back to the drawing board or just write another song.
I can't agree with you more. A great song could be played on one instrument and a voice.
Yeah.
And poorly. Even.
Exactly. And believe it or not, that's the majority of the placements that I've heard like that became full records. The placement demo was just the person on a piano or on a guitar and singing. Just that.
That was normal. That was very normal many years ago when I started out. People came running, and then they hired an arranger and, all that kinds of stuff, or they worked out things. Yeah. I mean,
it's very, very essential because at the end of the day, you can get lost in the production. Everybody has access to the plugins, and they're coming out with new plugins every single day. But if you're not focusing in on what it is that matters, you'll get lost in the production and be sitting there tweaking sounds till your ears are bleeding. You need to be writing the songs, okay? But be focusing. And the other thing I should also mention here is the one thing I see all the time: people starting songs but not finishing them.
I have a saying on that, you have to start. Starting leads to continuation. Continuation leads to finishing. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people start and that's it. They lose interest and stuff like that.
Yeah, and believe me, there's a lot of songs that I have. I mean, if you went back through my hard drive, just what I did in the last 3 years, it would blow your mind.
Oh, I've seen it. It's
and a lot of people haven't been able to understand who I am musically and as a producer or an arranger or as a musician, but everything that I've made, there's some things that just aren't meant to be heard or not, that I don't feel so strongly about. And I gravitate.
That's going to happen.
Yeah, but I don't let that bother me. I continue making music, and I make things that make me feel good and make me want to make somebody else feel good.
Yeah.
That's what music is about.
And I'm realizing I'm not going to go out and become a star right now, but man, it's great playing one of my songs that I like. And it just feels good to play, and it's good exercise. And I love music, and stuff like that. But you brought up something very interesting about producing and like overdoing it and stuff.
Mhm.
Oh my God. I've had producers try to show me how great their producing skills are. And they get so into the producing part of it, they cover up the song.
Mhm.
And that's the biggest no-no you can do. Folks, you have to have a strong song and an artist to put it across. The instruments, you should be feeling more than you're hearing. The producing, you should be feeling more than you're hearing. It's just the whole thing is to put across the song and a mood.
The song is the lyrics and the melody, the most important part. It is the only thing that you can copyright. So if your song is
Well, as a song, yeah.
as a song, obviously you can copyright the recording. I mean the master, but at the end of the day, the song itself, if you want to have one of those songs that live on forever, I mean, you have to make sure that the song is good by itself. I mean, if somebody's not gonna, if they're gonna hear your song and they're not gonna immediately want to sing it and do a cover to it, then you got to keep writing till you get to that point where you get that, because that is
Well,
essential.
let's put it this way. If you don't want to look at it any other way, folks, look at it away in regards to making a lot of money. And that doesn't mean you have to perform the song. Maybe it's not for you, but you just write this great song once or whatever like that. That there's two different kinds of publishers. There's the standard publishers. That's all they do. And then there's the artists and other people that own publishing companies. The standard publishers, which used to place every song you ever heard from the 60s back, well, halfway through the 60s back, most of it. Now what they're going to look for, standard publishers that want to make money, you should be able to play it on one instrument and one voice, because then what they love about it as a publisher is that, hey, this could be done country. Ooh, this could be done rock and roll, or even if it's a faster rock and roll thing, but it's standard kind of thing, you could slow it down and make it into a ballad. We've had fun taking these slow ballads and making them into dance. That's fun. Or into rock. It's just how it's arranged,
Yeah.
you know?
You could even take it a step further. If you're trying to play songs for somebody, you could send them just the song by itself with the one instrument and the vocal, and you could even get a little jazzy and do a couple different versions of the song just to showcase what it might sound like.
That's an idea. And actually, the funny part is when people ask me, well, how far should I go? How much should I play on this song? How many instruments? And my one question always is, who are you giving it to? My mentor insisted one voice, one instrument, because he wants to take it as a producer where he wants to take it. It's bad enough my voice is so stylized. I'm not great for being a demo singer because I got a rough voice. And so,
Yeah.
I have to play something sometimes, or I show up at, I think it's all unlisted, so it won't help anybody. But we'll figure out a way to hear what my voice sounds like. It's out there someplace. It's rock.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I'm sure everyone would love to hear that too, because I mean, the way you write, the best thing that I could tell everybody, that because they don't know how you write, I mean, there's like such movement in Pooch's songs and such a mood, and you feel the vibe so well that it just resonates with you. Like I remember this one's, I mean, I went through his entire catalog, but I went through, or at least the
that
thing
you know about.
Yeah,
There's
that
a
I know.
lot more. I got to transfer to computer. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like every song that I played, I was just like, holy crap, I need to go back to the drawing board because this man has something else. And it pushed me, believe me. I went on a producing spree for the next 6 months, just trying to.
And that's great. That's great. It's just like so many times, I tell people I write songs while I'm driving. even though I haven't been able to drive much. My battery's dead again. It continuously goes dead because I don't use it. And, I'm not driving any place right now, so it's not happy. So whatever. But a lot of times I'll put the radio on, see what's playing out of curiosity, and I'll hear a song that makes me think of a totally different song. In my head, I turn off the radio and then do my thing. You just never know where inspiration's going to come from.
Yeah, you never know. And that's happened to me a lot. I mean, some of my best songs I've ever written was in my car. So I totally feel for that, because there's just something about it. It's just like the seclusion and knowing that you're the only person that can hear what's going on.
Oh man, and will embarrass you a little, because I was embarrassed the same way. There's nothing worse than doing your music in front of your parents.
I don't think there's anything worse.
It is. I'm not. It's the only time I've ever been nervous really badly. Oh, which brings up a great topic: nerves. And a lot of people have, they get really nervous before going on stage, or they get really nervous giving a speech. Or
I am one of those people.
Huh?
I am one of those people.
Well, the funny part is, you can look at it from a bunch of ways. Well, first of all, what are nerves? Nerves means you're excited. It's energy. And that's what nerves are. Now, you have some choices here. I'm not saying it's always easy. I know for me, being a performer, or even if I'm doing a lecture or speaking to, to larger crowds or whatever, and I'm a wreck till I get up to the stage. Once I'm on, I'm fine. I learned the trick is to get people laughing. I'll get into that some other time. But that's the best thing. It loosens them up, so I loosen up, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the things that folks, all right, so it's logical. I mean, it's not hard to understand that it's energy and you're excited. That's all. That's is excitement. Okay. Now we're going to go back to my thing of the one thing you have control of in your life. What is it?
It's your attitude.
Your attitude. You have a choice of it. Now, my thing is, think about this for a second. If you're really nervous about everything, you're going on stage or whatever like that, did you ever think and notice what it is you're thinking about yourself? It could be, am I going to forget my words? Am I going I tell a joke about that sometimes. To forget my words, or am I going to sound good tonight? Are they going to like me and everything like that? By the way, folks, the crowd is there to like you unless you make them your enemy. Okay. Now back. And the point is, you're focusing on yourself. What you want to do is turn that around. You could be on stage, give that energy, and put the focus on the people that came to see you. You should be thinking about yourself. You should be thinking about your audience. You should be focusing on, and what that nerves does, it gives you extra energy.
Yes, it
Use
does.
it. It comes in really helpful. I mean, I drive people crazy because if it's up to me when I'm lecturing, I never stand still. And I walk around and, the whole microphone situation becomes a whole kind of crazy thing. But, so your nerves, folks, it's just focus it on the audience. And by the way, if you're focusing on yourself, you're thinking. And if you're thinking, you can't feel. The audience wants to feel you. Go out there and say, here I am, folks. I hope you like me. And all superstars are like this. Top performers say, look, if you don't like me, why are you here? Or change the channel or whatever the hell,
A lot of people don't know. I started off as a DJ in the EDM world. So I was playing a lot of clubs, doing stuff like that. And performing always made me nervous, right? I was like sitting by the stage, butterflies in my stomach, freaking out, like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? But as soon as I played that first song and I got through my first and second transition, I would just feel the highest high that you could possibly feel, and that would
Yeah,
go on for the
because you're
whole hour.
moving.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
incredible.
there's no high better than that.
Yeah, I tell the joke that nobody really knows me until they see me on stage, because it's just a whole nother side of me that you've never seen before.
Yeah, no, I understand it. It's like it's just people see me on here, they can't believe I'm usually quiet. I'm a very quiet person, but I mean, if I'm quiet, what good am I on this show?
Another thing that's cool for people to know is that, like, I started off doing EDM, but I was doing everything: house music, trap music. I was doing a lot of dubstep, and I was sound designing all my sounds and all this stuff. But after a while, it felt really robotic to me, and I lost the emotion of the music. So I just stripped everything down. And when I was doing EDM, I was releasing music all the time. I was really getting my name out there. I was playing shows. But when I switched, I kind of switched my direction and my focus, because I wanted to write. Like, I know that I'm like I said, I'm an emotional being, but I'm also melodic in a way that I can make you feel amazing about the sadness that you feel. Like, I'm always, there's always a little bit of hope in everything that I do, even if it's gritty.
Yeah, my thing is, I don't mind sad songs, but they shouldn't sound like you're going 6 feet under. I like sad songs are okay, but I always have to have a light at the end of the tunnel. That it's, for example, I'll give a great example of that kind of a thing. Oh, say I'm a woman and I'm being treated really bad. And oh man, he treats me so bad. Da, 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 da. But instead of just keep going there, when I write for a woman, I have them fighting back. Like, but I don't have to take this shit.
Yeah, that's
and
important.
and I just blank, you heard my song, like, go away. Go away. I don't need you,
Yeah. It's important.
I like that light at the end of the tunnel. I come out fighting.
Yeah,
I'm a rocker. I
the
come
one
out
thing
fighting.
I think that it's important to mention is that I noticed that a lot of people, with the music that's coming out nowadays, a lot of people forget what a song is supposed to be. A song is supposed to be what Pooch says, like a mini vacation. It's almost like a short film, but you can't
Yes.
see anything. You're just listening to it. So for you to be sitting here and just telling me about how you got brand new shoes and you bought a brand new car with the hottest girl that you've ever seen, like, that doesn't interest me. What interests me is you breaking yourself down to the core and being like, I hurt every day, and all I want is to be with you, and tell me what's real.
Well,
Don't
it could be, now look, there can be, about your car and stuff like that, but tell about yourself and what that car does to you.
your perspective.
My thing is, the way you need to get down to what is called the lowest common denominator. And that is by keep asking the question, why? So this is one way of doing things, okay? First, like, he's treating me badly. Why is he treating you badly? He acts all these kinds of ways and he does all these kinds of things. Why does he do those kinds of things? Why am I feeling the way I feel? Yeah, because I'm getting hurt. He's hurting me. Well, how's he hurting you? Why? In other words, you get down to the lowest, and that's your song. That's your basis. And whatever the subject matter is. But that car things, man, I mean,
everybody can talk about girls' money and jewelry. I mean, that's not anything new. That's been around
well,
since
look at it. Look what country music has been doing for 100 years. It's your tractor, your woman, the train. I mean, it.
country is totally different. I mean, there's certain genres of music. I'm not going to point any fingers, but there's certain genres of music that is just so regurgitated and so old that it's just like, you're not being innovative. You're not doing something new. You know what I mean? There's nobody really around here that's putting out music that's really challenging the status quo. I mean, Billie Eilish did some great
Billie
stuff.
Eilish, yes.
But like, that's like the freshest thing that we've been able to breathe in in quite some time, you know?
Yeah, and Miley Cyrus's new album.
Wow.
It's
Incredible.
rocking.
10
It's
out of 10.
incredible from beginning to end.
Yeah.
It rocks.
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
And that's where she belongs.
Yes.
I get goosebumps just thinking about it, because that one song, High, I can't get the hook out of my head, and it's been 2 months or a month and a half. It just, it just keeps coming.
For me with that song, it's the chorus is incredible. The whole song is incredible.
Oh,
But
yeah.
when
Beautifully.
when those stacks of vocals come in on the hook, that's what gave me the chills. I was like, oh my God, this is I felt like my brain was melting. I was like, no.
And by the way, you just brought up a great point. And that is, you want to hear voices. Voices make some great instruments.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give a group a plug right now, and it's Pentatonics. They have 5 singers. They do everything. One of them's the drummer. He does it all with his mouth. The bass player, he just has that type of voice. They sound like a whole complete thing, and there's no instruments, folks. They just do it. The point is, and harmony, that's one of the things missing nowadays with people learning music. They don't know how to harmonize, like ha ha, to each.
Yep.
They don't know how to harmonize. They never tried it. For some reason, I don't know why, but when I used to ride in the car with my parents when I was a kid, whatever they were playing on the radio, I was going up and around them, but making sure it still sounded good, at least in my head, and learning about playing around and not even using the typical follow harmony. I go twirling around and stuff, and it was fun.
Yeah. And that's the one thing that people, a lot of people that don't understand music theory and that type of stuff, harmony is one of the most extensive things next to rhythm. I mean, harmony is literally everything. I mean, even when you're playing a chord, you could be singing that as a harmony. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. And by the way, an interesting point about harmony, legally, it's arrangement, not writing.
Wow.
Only the lead and melody is writing. The background voices are part of, like they were instruments. It's an arrangement.
I can kind of give them an example if that would be something cool. I mean, I have my piano right here. I can just show them a chord and just how you can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. So, I mean, the one thing I could say, right, is that when you're playing, you can just say, let's just say like a G major. Ready? So you have it, right? It's comprised of 3 notes. But then you can add this note to give it a little different flavor if this is what you're looking for. Or even this. Or maybe this.
But it's got to make sense with the lead vocal. As long as it makes sense with the lead vocal, fine.
But the important reason I think that I wanted to bring that up is because those inversions, instead of playing just a normal chord like everybody else does, you could start off like this. And that gives you so many different vocal melodies to be able to choose from instead of just the run-of-the-mill what came in the scale that you found online and that's it, Well,
and by the way, if that was an instrument, just like what you did, da-da-dum, if it was the second verse, I would add the octave, add it, da-da-da, and the third time, da-da-da, it's a build. You still keep the original ones, you just add just the octaves, the exact same notes, an octave higher. That's all.
Yeah. Well, music is fun, and that's it at the end of the day. Like me and Pooch have a great time sitting here and just explaining this stuff to you guys. Like I'm having an amazing time, and this show has been incredible because of that. Is we get to teach and be able to help everybody understand what it is you're being asked of in the music industry.
Yeah, it's just, we're living it. And that's what everybody hopefully will be able to do, the ones that want to, obviously. By the way, one thing I want to add to what we were originally talking about nerves and stuff like this is a very helpful thing for performers. And that is if you're nervous before going on stage or you're speaking or whatever you're doing, you're nervous before you're getting in front of a bunch of people. A lot of people, it's the most common thing for people to get scared at. The thing is, you will notice that you're very tense, your body, which means you're not breathing. That's the time to use that, like I tell you, to at least 3, if not 10 times, really deep breathing and just move your shoulders around and relax out and stuff like that. Because if you want power on that stage, you're not going to have any power. And if you're like all tensed up and stuff, you want to be, you know what I mean? You want to be able to let go and to loosen up, take deep breaths. Because when you're nervous, it's normal to tense up. You're not fully breathing. You know, and I wanted to remember to tell people that that's the best thing to do before you go on stage. I mean, different people do different things. There's a well-known DJ, a friend of mine, before he goes on stage, he goes through boxing motions. But he loosens himself up. He gets himself going, you know. And I just think, you know, like a Pooch, you know, being unleashed. And I just, you know, but it's a helpful thing to take deep breaths and just wiggle around. Do you ever see racers? And what I mean racers, people running sprints and stuff. You'll always see them just wiggling just like this before they get in the blocks before they start running. They're loosening themselves up so you can breathe.
That's it. You need to stay loose. You need to be able to be relaxed. I mean, that's how you're supposed to sing. Whenever you sing, you're not supposed to be like you shouldn't. Your voice shouldn't.
Well, your voice is going to be very tight. You're not going to get enough air to get the full power out. You want remember, you breathe through your stomach, so make sure your air when you're singing.
Yeah, like
take a deep breath.
Yeah, like even right now, I'm talking through my throat, right? But right now, I'm talking through my chest, and you can hear the difference in where I'm placing all my air and where I'm breathing from. You know, it's all about placement.
Yeah, boy. One other thing that reminds me of a trick that's very helpful. A lot of people say, "Well, I sound very nasal," you know, or something like that. Somebody's very talking or singing very nasally. The reason is when you're in stage, the audience is in front of you. And even if you're not on stage, you still got the microphone and it's in front of you. So you would sing out, you know, aiming at the mic, aiming at the audience. Here's a trick. If you want to get rid of a nasal sound, it takes a little practice. It's not hard. It's in my book, by the way, at professorpooch.com, the music biz book. But make pretend the microphone is above your head and aim it there, your voice. You will notice it will open up your throat. You know, instead of and you get a much fuller sound, but it's opening up your throat. You know, just make pretend it's there, even though it's obviously in front of you. You know, you just, imagine it's there.
You won't blow your vocal cords out either, and you won't need surgery in the future if you learn how to sing properly. So if you don't know, leave your pride out at the door and take some lessons just to make sure.
Well, someday we'll go into vocal lessons because that's one of my pet peeves, and we're not going to get into it right now. There's just like with anything else, there's good vocal coaches and there's bad vocal coaches, and there's vocal coaches and vocal teachers. And I've gone to war with several of them. But we'll get into that. That's a totally different subject. But yes, learning how to breathe, making it a habit. But all you need to do is learn. I use Qigong, which is like the mother of Tai Chi. Okay, I was a martial artist, believe it or not. I was with Jiu-Jitsu for years. But you can reach a certain age, you only can hit the ground so many times. So I do Qigong, which is different breathing and stretching and stuff like that. Or if you want to use yoga, it's in the same family in a way. It's just different movements and stuff. But you're stretching or you're loosening your body up and you're breathing. You know, you don't have that stale air in you. Anytime before you're going to start anything, especially something you don't really want to do, 3 deep breaths. And if you need some energy, just rub your hands together. It creates chi, it's energy. It just works. Your hands are amazing, folks. And I'm going to use my hands right now because I'm sure we're way over time. And I'm going to say, tune in for the next episode, people.
Thanks for watching. Tune in for the next episode.